They got the wrong girl, they got the wrong accusations. She had embezzled 15 crore. वो औरत क्यों चाहेगी कि जो मुर्गी सोने के अंडे देती है उसको मार दो? Tharoor is a gentleman and he was a year my senior.
There is a Kunal Kamra who had to face multiple FIRs in all different states of the country for singing a political satire against the top leaders of the country.
I believe in God. I also believe that so long as I don't have an agenda, because I don't belong to any of the parties. I speak from the heart. The Dubai police were not letting Mr. Bonnie Kapoor leave with her body because they were not satisfied with his answers.
A senior actor who is now seen in a lot of television debates, weighing in on some of the biggest controversies that this nation has seen. His initial days were that of a model and an actor, and he is still remembered for being one of the best looking male models that this country has seen in India. I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Nasir Abdullah, who's with me in the Free Press studio. Thank you so much, Nasir Saab, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's such a beautiful place and it's so nice to see you. I've seen you a lot on the TV, but it's great to see you in person. Thank you for having me over.
So let's begin with what I said in my introduction, that where we have seen you more recently are these high-octane debates, all guns blazing, on issues that you feel strongly about. Let's start with the Sushant Singh Rajput case. You know, the matter has been settled. The CBI found nothing. The case is closed. Yeah. All the hullabaloo around this girl who was sort of thought to be behind his death. What do you make of it now?
My God, I think everybody can make of it what there is to make, but unfortunately, when certain vested interests get involved in it and want to give it another picture, another motive, because it was used sort of actually politically as well, it is very unfair. They got the wrong girl, they got the wrong accusations. They said she had embezzled 15 crores. There was no 15 crores. So that's how it started. Then became a drug thingy, that they used to take drugs, fine, they used to take, and then it became all a big mess. And I saw
they implicated her for being part of a drug network and booked her for those cases as well.
As well, and her brother.
Yeah, and her brother.
And the fact is, Sushant, undoubtedly straightforward fact, because a gentleman called Dr. His name was Dr. Kersey. He was a psychologist at the Hinduja Hospital. He was under treatment under him, actually, Sushant. And he had said to Sushant, if you do not have the medication I have given you, you will end up in a lot of trouble, because he needed it. He needed to be weaned off the other entertainment drugs that he was having, what you call, those things that make...
I was asking you that you knew that it could be a case of someone ending his own life, contrary to the popular opinion about how...
He was under depression, he had a problem, he had anxiety attacks, and his girlfriend had left him. They were accusing her. Here is my deal. What I said on the news, on the channel was, and in Hindi I said, कि वो औरत क्यों चाहेगी कि जो मुर्गी सोने के अंडे देती है उसको मार दो? Why would she do that?
Yeah, so it's contradictory,
All the benefits were there. Why would she want to have him killed or annihilated? She was using his card. I mean, she was well-to-do, but still, she was his girlfriend. So why would she want to kill her? What is the motive? So they couldn't get that. There was no money. I mean, there was not that kind of money. So it was very unfortunate.
Let's move to the other case where you again was seen speaking out a lot, and your voice was one of the prominent voices in the Sunanda Pushkar case, where you personally knew Sunanda.
Yes.
Can you tell us again a case where there wasn't any evidence to establish foul play, really?
Absolutely not, in my opinion. But what really got my goat was the fact that they were denying on television, live television, that she had no other problems, medical or otherwise, when I know for a fact that she had a disease called lupus, which she herself told me she had. But these anchors on the TV were saying, see, here's the blood test and there's no depression, no lupus. I said, you can't find depression through a blood test. You can't find... Lupus is a very crazy disease, autoimmune problems you have. And I know some people who have it, and Sunanda had told me herself, and she said the doctors are actually suspecting, and I was not the only one. Major news anchors and a famous dancer were told by her and a gentleman in Goa that she has lupus. So I was not the only one saying it.
So people were suppressing that to implicate Mr. Tharoor?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine. Tharoor is a gentleman, and he was a year my senior in Stephen's College, by the way. Great looking guy. He looks like the elder brother of Aishwarya Rai, or he could be the father now. So, yeah, wonderful man, and he's a gentleman. And of course, it was their third marriage, his third as well, whatever. Things didn't work out. Things happen. When you are married, things happen. It was their third, so they knew what was going on, whatever. And she went through her problems. And I knew her well enough for her to tell me all this. And she has a son in Dubai who had some speech problems, and I had some as well. So she said, how did you work it out? I said, I'd be happy to help your son when he comes. And I even told her about the Vipassana thingy. I said, you go for Vipassana, that'll help you to whatever stabilize maybe, and it's very effective. She said, what if my BP goes up and down here? I said, I'll go for the Vipassana course as well, and if you need anything, I'll help you. Though they have volunteers there to help you for anything you need. Okay. But 6 months later, she was gone. But everybody knew she was, and she was in a rather odd way.
Was it a life-threatening ailment, you feel?
It is very difficult to deal with. I know another lady who has it, and she's the wife of a friend, and it's not easy. It's a kind of a various thing. And she was also going through other stuff in her head.
No, what complicated matters, Naseer Saab, is that there was another woman in the mix.
Yes.
There was a Meher from Pakistan who wrote
the journalist.
emails, the journalist who, because of which this all became like a huge saga of how, she was pushed into it, and there's a abetment to suicide. All of that came in.
Yeah. So she was on heavy medication, that much I know anyway. There's another gentleman who on a news channel said that he saw her having a handful of stuff, medications. I don't know how many, they were like over a dozen or 20 of them she was having and stuff. So she had problems. She had
and these issues aggravated, you feel, or those were not really?
Yeah. Now, here's the deal. You mentioned about the other lady, which can be a huge, like a reason and a cause for things to spiral out of action. I agree. But unfortunately, this is how it works out. So all she had to do was move on. But she got very upset about a few other things. She was very upset about something to do with the IPL thing they were involved with, and that got sidelined. So she was upset about being used as a front and about not getting her dues or money. And I was thinking, you are married to the External Affairs Minister, for God's sake. You don't need all this, really. Let it go. Whatever it is, So I was a little disappointed in her reactions, but the fact remains, it's not easy to tell because women are more sensitive in all these issues and they can get very uptight. They're accusing Mr. Tharoor of having orchestrated her, elimination.
Drugged her and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think so. Mr. Tharoor is a gentleman. It's just that he did not give enough attention to her condition, which was worsening due to other things. So
to that extent, he may be blamed, you are saying. It's not like one has to
not blame. So you can't blame a person for not having seen the signs, because I couldn't see many signs in my family of other people having a problem. I had a sister who had a problem. I couldn't see anything because we are all in our own thingy. So it takes a lot of the time. Only when things get very sticky, then you realize, oh my God. So all I know is that maybe, if at all she was eliminated or something like that, maybe Mr. Tharoor knew about who could have eliminated her because there were other vested interests whom she was threatening to expose. Apparently, that's what she was saying, and giving sort of threats to Mr. Tharoor as well, that Mr. Tharoor, you're finished or some such thing. But I thought it was all an exercise in futility. But the truth of the matter was she was in a rather bad, negative, emotional state. But
here is something interesting you said. You're saying you're not entirely ruling out the possibility of her being eliminated by vested interest. Did I get you correctly?
There is a possibility, but it's very, very distant. She was on the verge of a collapse because I heard from assistants on other TV channels who had gone to meet her to fix up a program and all that. And one of them said she looked like terrible. She looked like completely out and drained out and haggard before she died. So things were happening. She was sick, and she was also getting emotionally sick. And I think she had a bit of a psychosomatic also problem, because she told some people that Mr. Manmohan Singh, at that time he was the Prime Minister, and George W. Bush, they called her to ask her how to rule the country, their country. So that was a bit much. That she said, because I heard this from distinguished people who would not lie. But they didn't want to be on TV to say it, because they don't want to dance in front of the TV. So they didn't want. But they told me there was a problem. And because the problem was so strong, I believe, and she, when you also mix it up with drinking and stuff, red wine, whatever, how much ever, and you take sleeping pills, etc., it can lead to you into a very deep sort of chasm, an abyss. That's the word. Well done. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, since we are talking about mysterious deaths, now I have to bring up the case of Sridevi as well. What do you know about that case, and what would you be able to divulge?
I don't know much, except that it appears that the Dubai police were not letting Mr. Bonnie Kapoor leave with her body because they were not satisfied with his answers. There was a conflict of the stories of Bonnie and the hotel staff, apparently. And then there was this thing that on the TV shows they were saying things like she had been apparently drowned for a long time, and maybe he knew about it and didn't inform, and for some other exterior reasons he did not divulge that fact that seemed to make them very, very suspicious about the matter. So I think what has happened is, because she was in a shaky condition. She was not eating well. She had done a lot of the surgeries to keep her body in shape, etc. And somebody had to be holding her to walk a little bit, because she was not old.
She was also heavily into medication, and again there is a chance of things going awry whenever there is a whole lot of things that you are on.
Absolutely. You have to go by the instructions of the doctors, and often enough the people, they take some pills, nutrient pills, instead of food. Now our body is made to take food, and we have intestines and we have a stomach to deal with, and the process is there. So if you do not do the process well, and especially if you've been having other whatever medication, slimming and all that stuff, God knows what, it can lead you into a lot of trouble. So she had been under the knife for the cosmetic procedures, which a lot of ladies do. But that was the situation. So I don't know how things went bad. So they were holding up the body for, I think, almost a day. And then they finally, I think someone used their influence to get the MEA.
Because it is unusual. You see, it's bound to lead to a lot of chatter. I mean, drowning in a bathtub is not something we've...
It can happen anywhere. You can drown while watching TV. You can drown while having
unless
tea.
you're in the influence of something, it wouldn't happen. So
but if you have a stroke, so when that happens, when you have a stroke or heart attack, suddenly your strength is reduced to 10% or so. So if you're in a living room, you can struggle and haggle, and there's a carpet, you can hold on to a chair, you can go to a phone. But if you're in a bathtub, it is slippery, and you are trying to and your strength is removed, remember. So even if you try to raise yourself up, you may not be able to, and you may drown. It is possible. I'm not saying it is. So people argued about that, and I said, you can't decide how and when a person will have a heart attack and die, while driving, while in their sleep. I have an older brother, he passed away in his sleep. But he had been unwell for a while, that's another story, but he passed away. And some people can pass away while laughing. Some people can, whatever, there can be 100 ways to go, while driving.
But because it was Sridevi, it led to a lot of these conspiracy theories.
Absolutely.
And it happened in Dubai, and there was that whole intrigue and mystery around the circumstances. The other mysterious, intriguing case that this country has seen is that of Indrani Mukerji. And again, you are seen commenting on it a lot. The trial is still on, by the way. And we've seen documentaries now made on her. She's out on bail after spending 6 years in jail. That whole saga of a woman, and she comes from my home state. I'm from Assam. She comes from my hometown. And then this whole thing about a woman who tried to rise the social ladder, got married to one and the other, and then to Peter Mukerji, and then this daughter who she kept under the wraps as a sister, and finally things got exposed, and she...
Crazy.
Did she eliminate her or did she not?
That's a crazy saga, I must say. And you asked me the question, did she? It was, I think, pretty much clear that she had. And because too many other things happened to say that it had happened, it had been done. As to by whom, I think because Peter Mukerji also hid the fact, and Indrani Mukerji hid certain facts and said she's gone and all that. How did she know? Unless she knew the truth. So if she knew the truth that she had died, she knew much more. So it is obvious that at least she knew that she was dead. As to whether she killed her, it's hard to say, but I can't think of anybody else because that is what was happening. They were, husband and wife were actually joint sort of conspirators. Initially, Mr. Peter Mukerji said, oh, I didn't know she was this, and he acted like he didn't know. And then later they called him for questioning and they jailed him too because he knew. He told his son, why don't you forget about her? Maybe she's gone somewhere and doesn't want to be bothered. But the truth of the matter is, Rahul's father is telling him, beta, it's okay, maybe she's gone and let her be and she wants to start a new life. So he couldn't get it. How can she just go away? She's a mature woman. She's not an idiot. She's not some, like a beer bar dancing girl who just goes away one day. No, she had a whole life out here and she suddenly disappeared. Why is Peter convincing his son to forget about his love for his whatever stepdaughter who she was with? So Peter was arrested and jailed for that. So we can be clear about that there is no doubt about it. So I think she got out on bail because she did a deal with the courts and the government about giving them in for ammunition against Karthik Chidambaram. And then Mr. Chidambaram went to jail for a while. So that's why I think she got the bail. And she was desperate to get out. She tried to commit suicide as well. And in the television serial, she's saying, oh, she's around. She's still harping on that fact. And, they showed me in the serial on a TV saying...
a grab of the show that where you are speaking.
Where I said the police should investigate if she knew an astrologer, a tantric or a clairvoyant or, whatever, a Sufi type, these Baba types. And she said, hey, Nasir, are you serious? So, yes, you're right. People get caught up. Finally, things happen to catch up, and often enough they don't. So if they don't, then they will catch up in the next incarnation. I believe in that too. Next incarnation for sure.
You believe in that?
Oh, totally.
Let's talk about the comedians now. I know that you are also seen as somebody who, in your comments, you make people laugh and people enjoy that. But nowadays, you have to be so careful what you are saying. There is a Kunal Kamra who had to face multiple FIRs in all different states of the country for singing a political satire against the top leaders of the country. So if you followed the story, tell us where you stand on this.
Pretty much. I haven't seen everything and I was not a fan of his really, but I must say I admire him for his ability to turn something that could have been a serious issue once upon a time into a fun thingy at the end, and everybody was laughing. So it was not like everybody was crying or they were depressed or whatever. It's a show. The thing about comedy is it has to be a bit astounding. It has to be a bit shocking. Sex is involved often enough. So you can't use sex much as Alabadi did. Aditya, I think his first name. Ranveer. And so Kunal basically, and I said this on a debate earlier, I said, I just want to know one thing, that he spoke the truth. Firstly, he didn't name him, but that's okay. He spoke the truth. This is what happened. There was a conspiracy hatched. And Mr. Uddhav found himself floundering with rebellious MPs, but it was organized by a gentleman called this man. So what is the big deal? Can't you speak the truth? He spoke the truth. What is the big deal? And all of humanity, and you know it as well, you're a journalist, my God, you know it even better, that this happens all the time. The kidnapping of the MLAs and the politicians. And,
political coup.
And they're in a bus and they're in some 5-star and then they buy them off. This happens all the time. So what is the big deal? It is business as usual. So he's not said anything.
And it is apt material for comedy. I mean, where else will you find material?
And then it may lead to the public saying, hey, what's wrong with you? And they may side with him because he has just spoken the truth in a funny way.
Maybe the uncomfortable truth. Too uncomfortable for some people.
But he's not gone too far, like to say something against the traditions of India, the gods of India, the Devi Devtas. I understand you have to be very careful because since the past 15 years or more, or 20 years, they have started to feel this. And Mr. M.F. Hussein had to leave the country because he used to paint the goddesses nude, which was done all the time, by the way. They were allowed to. But then there was a change. And it was, nobody cared. It seemed okay. Durga naked or some other. There were so many of these, and you've of course got the Khajuraho thingy. That's another story. But he had to leave because they used it against him as an offense against their religion. When you do that, everybody gets very activated and possibly angry, and that's how it happens. So that is what is happening. So yes, you're right. One has to be careful, but I think they should not.
There should be space for dissent. Let's face it. I mean,
to
when
be
you
able
are a
to,
public figure.
Yeah, but he's not dissenting. He is relating an incident. He's not saying कि ये ऐसे लोग हैं, ये ऐसा हुआ. This happened, and in a way, Uddhav Thackeray called him a traitor.
A number of times. Yeah.
Mr. After all this happened, and his son obviously called him, and many others, they call him that, and it's okay. It's in the business. He had a good offer, and he accepted it. Why not? And it's okay. So.
How does that make you feel, Mr. Nasir Abdullah, when you speak out and you've always been a very candid, cavalier sort of a person when you speak your mind? Are you not afraid that, okay, what if they come after me?
Yeah, yes, it's a good question, and I'll be honest with you, I've been afraid, and a lot of my friends who mean well and senior people who've been in the industry in more ways than one, news readers who are now retired, they tell me, Nasir, beta mat jaya karo, kuch ho jayega. So maine kaha nahi, I believe in God. I also believe that so long as I don't have an agenda, because I don't belong to any of the parties. I speak from the heart. Here is the deal. Whenever I have an issue, I don't touch on too much of it, and I actually quote from the Hindu scriptures. So I told before the elections, the young guys, I said, before you press the button, pray to God, the Gayatri Mantra, which is the same as our Surah Fateh. Okay, Surah Fatiha is the same. Guide us, help us, whatever. Help us to have your grace and the route to take before you press the button, because you don't know. I told the youngsters, I said, you don't know for sure. You're thinking. So tell God, keep us on the right path. So they were very impressed that, Nasir is quoting. And I talked about Arjuna, and I said when Arjuna went for help to Krishna, Yudhishthira, I think, had also come, or one of the other guys. And so, Arjun wanted only Krishna as the charioteer, while the other guy was happy to have the army or whatever. So, but he trusted that if I have this great lord of the universe in the form of Lord Krishna, I'll be fine. Yeah. So I quoted from the Mahabharata. So they were very pleased somewhere that I don't go anywhere else, and and on the whole I don't do much, but I speak from the heart, and I don't waste my time in demeaning anybody else or any other religion. The only time I happen to demean them is when they interrupt me and they upset me by doing that, because I've had a shower, I'm ready, and then I'm fine. So one of the ladies who was after my life, I actually accused her after a long time. She went on and on, every show she was, So I said, "Are you Ravan ki behen?"
Oh my God.
And it was on live TV.
Yeah.
And it worked because she was behaving like Ravan ki behen. So I was like Ram. I was very cool, so I'm okay.
That
God
happens
help me.
Spur of the moment.
Yeah.
But let's now talk about your work. I mean, of course, there must be so many things that you're proud of when you look back in your career. You're remembered as the model in Monte Carlo, or
Yes.
you feel you're remembered more for the films that you did. I believe your first film was the same as Shah Rukh's first.
Oh yeah,
movie.
Dil Asna Hai, directed by Hema Manli, got released in 1993. Took a while to make, and it was supposed to be Shah Rukh Khan's introductory film. He was opposite to Divya Bharti, and there was Sonu Walia, my fiancé in the film, Dimple Kapadia, Jitender's fiancé, and Mithun, and Amrita Singh,
It was a huge
and Farida
multi-
Jalal. Yeah. So
multi-starrer.
Yeah, it was multi-star, but it took a long time to make. So in the meantime, Shah Rukh Khan finished another film called Divana with Rishi Kapoor and Divya Bharti. It was a very good film. So it did well, but he could not be introduced in this film then. So they ended up introducing me. But unfortunately, during the just after the release of this film, the riots happened after the Babri Mosque thingy. So, I mean, Bombay was burning. It was very bad, very bad. So, movie going was out. But I managed to see the movie before in a theater, and it was fun. I had a great time, and I'm a lousy dancer. I had to dance in the film, so I managed. So yeah, that was my first film. I was not very sure of myself. I was called the Badshah of advertising films. I got lucky. Sure. The camera liked me, and
Even today, I think your image is that of the great model who featured in these big ads, big commercials. But tell us, when you cut to the present times, you see the OTT, the web series, the streaming business now ruling the roost. Is there enough space for veteran actors? Is enough work? Are you engaged in any of the content at the moment?
Yeah, I think there is. I have not got much work because I've sort of moved to Delhi a bit and I stay there a lot. I was staying there a lot because my mom was sort of beginning to feel a bit fatigued, and she was fine, mild issues. So I stayed a lot in Delhi because as an actor I didn't have much work. If I had a bank job, I would have had to go every Saturday, or a Monday back to Bombay. So, but there is a lot of work, and I think it is a great boon. The TV was a great boon for failed actors on the movie front. You know that very well. I mean, Shekhar Suman did all these shows, and everybody else did wonderful. So now the OTT is apparently doing great. I haven't done very many, but I've done a film. I've done an OTT where I played father to Lara Datta and Prateek Babbar called Hiccups and Hookups.
Okay.
Then I played a film called Murder in Agonda in Goa with Lilette Dubey. So I was in Delhi and they called me for an Akshay Kumar film called Bachchan Pandey, where I had a scene with Kriti Sanon, very arrogant man I had to play, which I play very well. It runs in the family. So I played that little part, but the film flopped, but not because of me, because I was only there for 2 minutes. So you can't.
What do you have to say about the flops and the hits now? You see all these period dramas do well, like a Chava did well, but Sikandar, Salman's supposedly blockbuster Eid release did not really take off.
Yeah.
Emergency, Kangana Ranaut's movie did not do well.
Yeah.
Saif Ali Khan and Sridevi's kids, they were such big stars in their own right, but their kids. And where do you stand on the nepotism debate? Let's hear it from you.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's so many questions.
Yeah, there are two questions.
I'll
on
start.
The hits and flops and nepo kids.
So there's no hard and fast rule about the hits and flops. It's been happening all over the world. Francis Ford Coppola, one of the greatest directors and producers, has made some lousy films. Subhash Ghai Saab has made some lousy films that just didn't work. I think one of them was. Anyway, it was a Hrithik Roshan film, the second film. It flopped very badly with all the big actors and actresses around there. So there's no hard and fast rule. We can't tell. My sister watched the film in the US, Emergency, right? She liked it. Okay. And she is a no-nonsense woman. She didn't like Jawan or actually Pathan so much because of the violence. Otherwise, she liked the film, but she felt it was too much. And at her age...
And you haven't watched any of these movies?
I've watched both. And I was in the US when I watched them both. The next year I was for this, and I found, it was, and I was amazed at the way it was received.
Yeah.
And
so was Animal, which was like very violent.
I haven't seen the full film. And I was like amazed at the way they're filming this fight on the runway of this
Bobby Deol
and breaking teeth and bleeding gums, and I said मैं तो एक ही घूसे में मर जाऊं, ये 32 घूसे कैसे खा रहे हैं? तो विदेश में ऐसा ही होता है कि आपने एक बार मारा, वो हिल के फिर गिर जाता है, बड़ी मुश्किल से उठता है, अगर उठता है. यहाँ पे 32 घूसे खाकर वो ऐसे करके अपना थोड़ा खून ऐसे वाइप करके फ़ोन उठाता है और कहता है वो भाग गया, वो मुझे मार के भाग गया. मैंने कहा यू मेंटल, वन पंच ऑन मी फ्रॉम अ, खैर सलमान खान होता तो मेरा उसका तो एक ही पंच होता. इन अ फिल्म आई डिड एक्चुअली मित्र माय फ्रेंड, आई आस्क्ड द लेडी टू एक्चुअली स्लैप मी. देयर वाज अ सीन टू स्लैप मी एट द एंड ऑफ द फिल्म. She said, why are you saying we have a trick? I said, no, I want to feel it so that I won't have to react like shock कि एक्टिंग नहीं करनी पड़ेगी. So she gave it to me like.
Are you in favor of re-releasing? Like, a lot of movies are re-releasing now. Why don't we re-release Mittal, My Friend?
Yeah, well, it was sort of re-released in the sense it was shown on the Air India flights after that, and he went around, and yeah, but it is not for me to do that. It is something that the directors and the producers have to be interested in, but I can push it.
Yeah.
I've actually pushed it. I bought DVDs and gave it to people to watch, CDs in those days. So, yeah, so...
And what about the Nepo kids now?
Oh,
the
yes.
fact that these movies have not done, whether it's Amir San or Saif.
It is there. It is there. So hit and miss. Some will work, some won't. Devanand tried to cast his son, Sunil Anand, many years ago with a very beautiful looking girl called Natasha. Didn't work. I think it was called Anandi Anand or something. I don't know. It didn't work. It didn't work because he didn't work, and it's fine. A lot of other people, like Abhishek is a classic example. Some of his films are good. He's done well, which is fine. Why should he match up to the father? No hard and fast rule. This is not the doctor's orders. It's fine. There are dozens. Manoj Kumar's sons, they also tried. Joy Mukerji's sons also tried. And whoever's daughters, they tried. And, hasn't worked. Ranbir worked. Ranbir Kapoor. I mean, he has equaled his father. I mean, we don't have to see like to the gram. 119 gram hai, 120 nahi hai. So no, he's very good, and I didn't expect him to do well. He didn't look like he had it with him, and he made it. Shahid Kapoor made it, and his father was a very, very, very famous man, but he didn't have much of his father's thingy. But his mother, Neelima Azim, excellent actress, amazing actress. From those days, they had a lot of pressure on them, even for the dubbing and the dialogues. It was amazing in those days. She managed. Brilliant actress and a brilliant dancer. Brilliant. So somewhere the genes apparently came through, and Shahid, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
His brother's on the way, but let's see.
Yeah. I believe you play the flute, Nasir Sahab.
A bit,
Let's
yes.
hear it. I believe you sing KL Saigal.
As well.
Why don't we hear
I'll
a
give
bit of
you
that as we wrap
30
up
seconds.
this
I'll give you
interesting
30 seconds of each.
Yes.
3.5 minute ka gana main
Bilkul.
40 seconds.
Unfortunately, I don't have any other accompaniment, so it will be all flute.
I don't need it. I'm a solo guy.
All right.
अगर लोग थोड़ी सी तालियां भी बजाने लगते हैं, मैं कहता हूँ नहीं वो जो होता है ना, they want to keep the rhythm. I said don't do that. I'll fail.
Okay.
Because I'm used
तो
to
कुछ भी
being
नहीं करना है.
हाँ मुझे आदत है अकेले. Okay? पिया तो सही ना लगे रे.
Yes, why not?
Thank you.
Ooh,
That's one.
That great lung power you have.
Not really, but मैं
What do you
memory
require
से
for this? I mean, for
एक वो आपकी practice से बच जाता है. My lungs are not so strong. I should be doing some pranayam to keep them going. I don't.
You need that for the.
God,
for
it's
the
very important, but I don't do it. तो आपसे आज बात हुई तो आज मैं याद करके रात को सोने से पहले प्राणायाम करूँगा.
You must. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We can continue the conversation, but I end it with the flute. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. Thank you for having me.